Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me today on the last session before the closing, of course. And I'll be talking about how you can use Power Virtual Agent to boost your Microsoft Teams adoption. You can find me on Twitter with my handle, which is just my name, Carmen Ysewijn. Of course, I would also like to thank the sponsors without whom this event would not be possible today. So thanks very much. And then, of course, I would also like to remind you of the code of conduct, which is essentially be nice, be respectful, and be inclusive to anyone who is attending or who is presenting today. And then let's get started. So why is this session important? Why am I talking about this topic? It's firstly because adoption is essential, yet in most cases it's very difficult. It's essential for the success of any new technology. If the people in our organization don't use the technology that we offer, the project really hasn't succeeded. Adoption is, of course, also change, because people need to change the way that they work. They need to change their behavior. They need to change, or they need to move away from their normal flow of doing things or their traditional flow of doing things. And that might be a big change or a small change. But any time that change is involved, it's difficult, because as humans we like routine, we like doing the same things over and over, and we traditionally don't like change. So it's difficult to get people to change, of course, and therefore adoption is hard. And it's hard both from the perspective of the people that have to go through the adoption, that have to do the changes, and as well as from the perspective of the people that, usually consultants or IT, who is driving the change, who is wanting the organization to adopt a new technology or a new application. And especially with Microsoft Teams, it's an amazing application, but there is so much involved. There are so many different options, so many different functionalities that it provides. And still, it's not that when you can just release it into the organization and they will use it. You need to think about it, how you want to use it in the right way, how you want the organization to use it. And Power Virtual Agents, or a chatbot, an intelligent virtual agent, can make that easier by bringing the right information to the right person at the right time. So by bringing a Power Virtual Agent into the Teams application, people can ask their questions inside the application to the chatbot, who will provide them with an answer. So that is bringing it at the right time and at the right place and to the right person. Really tailoring that response, or when you bring information to your users. Now, what should a Teams adoption bot do? Because that's what I'm going to build after giving this small introduction. It should, or in my opinion, it should do three things. First of all, helping users in solving common questions and problems. So a lot of questions that we see often from people when they start using Teams is, how do I create a new team? What are the different types of channels? What are private channels? What should we use them for? How can I organize a meeting, and how can I share content in the meeting? A lot of questions come our way when people start using Teams. And there are many ways to do things. You can just create teams using the out-of-the-box functionality that Microsoft provides, or you can build a provisioning robot or provisioning engine, which then, of course, your users need to use in order to build their teams, and they need to know about the provisioning process. And that is where a bot can also be helpful in sharing the right way to do things. So when people ask, of course, they are not going to ask, is there a provisioning process in place? But when they ask, how can I create a new team? Your bot could point them in the right direction, and not just giving a link to the provisioning engine, but giving some explanation why that provisioning process is in place, what is expected, how long it can be expected to take, etc. And you can do that with different types of questions. Instead of just answering their questions just as it is. They can provide a bit of context, and that is really how they can start sharing the right way to do things. And then, of course, when the bot cannot answer the question because that specific question was not taken into account when designing it, it should refer to support, and it should make it easy for the user to get referred to support. And then I'm going to build, or I'm going to enhance a bot that I've started building already with 3 simple scenarios. And the first one is how to answer users' questions. So I have on my screen here already a bot that I've created. It's already shared with the team, or it's already published to the Teams channel, and I'm going to edit it in the online editor of Power Virtual Agents. So in the topics, I have already created 2 topics. It is, which is how to add a member to a team, how to create a Teams meeting. And these are created very simply, very basically, with, of course, some trigger phrases, how to organize a meeting, different questions, different ways that people can ask that question. And then what I do when people ask a question is I rephrase the question that the bot has understood, so that the people or the users that ask the question also know which question I'm answering at this point. And then I've included a link to a SharePoint page where that is explained. So I've created a SharePoint site. This is a demo environment, of course, where I have created a SharePoint page with an explanation how to schedule a Teams meeting with some screenshots. Now, I have opted to link to a page on SharePoint and not giving the entire explanation in the chatbot for 2 reasons. First of all, if you want to include the screenshots, there's not a straightforward way to add images into Power Virtual Agents. You can't just upload them or paste them like you can in SharePoint. Therefore, that's the first reason why I've chosen to do it in SharePoint. And then the other thing is that if you have to give these 3 messages with screenshots into the Power Virtual Agent, that can become a very long conversation where users would have to scroll back up, etc. Not the best user experience. With this page, they start at the top of the explanation, and then they can scroll down, and they have the message next to the text. So that is my preferred way of giving that explanation versus just adding it all into the topic. And I have a second one that's the same for adding a member. So it's also rephrasing the question, giving a link. And then what I always do is I end the conversation with a survey. So just to check whether I gave the right answer and whether the answer was sufficient. So not just answering the right question, but also whether the answer is clear for the user and whether they actually are helped by that. And I'm going to create a third topic just like that to start, which is a simple one, how to create a team. Now, in my case, I don't have a provisioning engine on this environment, but of course, if you have a provisioning engine, this is a great way to or a great topic to include also explanation about that provisioning engine. So I'm adding some trigger phrases: create a team, new team, collaborate with colleagues. You can, of course, type more. I'm going to start with 3, and then I'm going to go to the authoring canvas. Now it's saving my topic for the first time. And then once the topic is saved, the authoring canvas opens, and it immediately gives me the option to insert my first message. So I'm going to take the same approach, rephrasing the question. Sounds like you want to create a new team. You can find the explanation for that here. And then I'm going to insert a link, going to my training site, a page for creating a new team, and then copying and pasting the link. And just like before, I'm going to end the conversation with a survey so that I can later on in the analytics check whether this was a sufficient answer for the users. And then if I save that topic, I can immediately check it here in the test bot. So I want to create a team. And as expected, the chatbot gives me the answer. If I click on the link, my page will open in a new tab, and I can just see the explanation that I have here. And then, of course, the survey is added at the end. Did it answer my question? Yes. And then I can say that it was a great answer. And for the moment, you can't help me with anything else. So a basic topic, very simple to get started. You can get this up and running. You see, when you have your topics and you have your training pages, of course, then you can build a topic in a matter of minutes and getting started very quickly. Now I'm going to actually build further onto that topic. So I shouldn't have closed the authoring canvas. Instead of just giving the user that asks a question the explanation, I'm going to ask whether they want me to help them in creating their new team, because that is where Power Virtual Agents is really powerful. It can take action on behalf of the user. So building onto this topic, right after I ask or I send my first message, I'm going to add actually a question. So I'm going to say, would you like my help with this, or just give you the explanation? Multiple choice options, help me, or just give me the explanation. And then I'm going to rename my variable help or explanation. And then depending on the answer that I get, I'm going to take a different action. So here, of course, I don't need to give the explanation immediately. I'm going to remove this here and then add it in the just give me the explanation branch. So I'm going to add a new message. I'm going to paste in the explanation link that I had before. And then I'm going to send them straight to the end of the survey or the end of a conversation with the survey. And then when the user says that they want help, I'm going to ask 2 additional questions. The first one being, what should be the name of the team? The team, where I'm going to extract the user's entire response as the result. And again, I'm going to rename my variable just so that it's easy for me to find the right one later on. And then asking a second question. How can this team be described? There we go. And again, extracting the user's entire response, renaming the variable to team description. And this is where the Power Platform in its entirety comes in, because now we can actually call an action where we're going to call a Power Automate flow to create the team. I already have one ready, but I'm going to create a new one just to show you that's also very easy just to do right from the Power Virtual Agent. I'm going to accept. So we see that we have a template already filled. There we go. With the Power Virtual Agent's input that we want to get, and then the value that we're going to return to our agent when we have completed the flow. I'm going to rename my flow to create a new team. And I'm going to add two text inputs. First one being the team name, and the second one being the team description. Team description. There we go. And now it's simply a matter of adding the teams action, create a team, and entering the team name and the team description into the parameters. And this could be your flow. Now, of course, you want to make sure that your flow is successful, that nothing went wrong, and therefore I'm going to build in a check to make sure that, of course, my team has been successfully created. So I'm going to initialize a variable, which is going to be my output. I'm going to drag it above the action, and the value will be success. And then here I'm going to return my output variable output. And I'm going to add a parallel branch, which is going to be a set variable action, which is only going to run if my create a team action has failed. So something went wrong. And then I'm going to set my output variable to failed. And here I'm going to return value to Power Virtual Agents, add an output text, output, of course, and enter a value to respond the output variable. And then I'm going to add in a terminate action with success as the status so that my flow run doesn't show as failed. If I save this, and I close it, and I'm going back to my Power Virtual Agent. If I'm now choosing call an action, my new flow should be added to the list here. Create a new team. If I choose this, then I need to give my input variables, team name and team description, and I can see that I will get one output value. Now I know that if my team was successful, I will get success as a return value, as an output, and if it wasn't, I will get failed. So I'm going to add another condition, and I'm going to use my output as the condition input, and if it is equal to success, then I'm going to show a message, your team has been created. You will see it in the teams list, and ending the conversation with a survey. If my output is not equal to success, I'm going to show a message, or actually ask a question. Seems like something went wrong. Always what a user wants to see. Do you want me to try again, or refer you to the explanation instead? Refer you to the explanation instead. Making it really easy for our users to decide whether they want to try again, or they will just go to the explanation and try it themselves. So try again, please, are my options, or refer me to the explanation. And then renaming my variable, explain. And then depending on whatever the user chooses, I'm going to either loop back to right before I create the team, because my input variables are still available in my topic, or when they say that they want to be referred to the explanation, I'm going to loop back to, if it wants to go up, there we go, to the explanation. And now our flow is completed. So if I save it, and the testbot chat refreshes, I can start by asking my question again, create a team, and then I want the chatbot to help me. The name of the team should be Collab Days team. And the description should be I'm having fun. And then in the background, the flow will run to create the team, and we'll soon find out whether that flow has been successful or not. Normally when it takes this long, this is not a good sign. Apparently it was a good sign, I'm just not patient enough. So my team has been created. If I then go to Teams, I open my Teams section, then I will see that the Collab Days team has indeed been created. And of course, I'm added as the owner since the flow is executed in my name. So that was also quite an easy way to, and quickly, the bot was created completely, including the creation of a team. Now, of course, if you have a provisioning engine, you would give some more explanation here about why there is no, or it's not according to the Microsoft out-of-the-box functionality, what you can expect from that provisioning engine, what is the expected output time. And you can even go as far as to, instead of referring them to whatever app or form you have for starting that provisioning process, you could ask the questions that you need as input in the bot and have the bot start that process as well. So you can take it really, really far, of course. Now, I want to create another topic, because apart from creating a team, or from giving information to the user or taking action on behalf of the user, you can also, if you have information available in a list, in a Microsoft list or a SharePoint list, you can get that information for the user quickly. Now, in a lot of adoption tracks or adoption projects, we work with an ambassador program or a champion program, and we have a list of those champions somewhere within our tenant, within our Office 365 environment. And users need to know who they can turn to for support, who can help them, who is their champion, basically. And we want to give them an easy way to find their champion when they are looking for it. So I'm going to create a new topic, find champion. If you have, find, not fin. If you have, and if you call it ambassadors or salespeople, I don't know what you could call it. Champions and ambassadors are, of course, most often used. It would be find ambassador, the topic. And then the trigger phrases can be, who is my champion? I want to find my champion, and you can have a lot of other trigger questions, of course, as well. And then if I'm going to the authoring canvas, it will save my topic for the first time, and then start again with that same template of the trigger phrase and then the first message. Here, I'm going to do the same. Sounds like you are looking for a champion to support you. And I'm going to do the same as I did with the create a team question. I'm going to ask the user whether they want my or the bot's help to find it, or whether they want to be referred to the full list. Would you like me to help you find them, or give you a link to the full list? Multiple choice options again. Find them for me. New option. Give me the link. And then what you can also do is to make sure at this point in the question already, is to give them the option to say, that's not what I'm looking for. So that way you can very easily in the topic find out that it's actually not what the user is looking for. And I'm going to save my or rename my variable to find or link. And then I have my 3 branches again. If it's not what the user is looking for, I am going to show a message. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't help you. And I'm going to end the conversation with a survey. You could also go back, of course, to the greeting topic where the Power Virtual Agent is explaining or is giving some introduction into what their purpose is. If they ask for the link, I'm going to show a message. Here is the champions list. And then I'm going to go back to my team training site where I have a champions list prepared already, of course. I have a couple of champions, most in Belgium, some in the Netherlands, and I'm going to copy that link and add it here in the bot. And then, of course, I'm also going to end the conversation with a survey. So I'm looping, or I'm going to that same action. If the user is asking to find the champion for them, I'm going to ask 2 more questions, because as you can see in my training list, I have 2 specifiers or 2 properties of each champion. The first one being the country and the second one being the department. So I'm going to filter the list for the user based on those 2 properties. That means I'm starting by asking, what department do you work for? Multiple choice options. I have 6 departments: finance, marketing, sales, engineering, production, and R&D. Now, since I'm going to use this as a parameter for my flow, I actually don't need all of these conditions or all of these branches. So that's the wrong one that I'm going. I'm going to delete all of these conditions, all of these branches. Delete, and then it's always rearranging the screen. Delete, 2 more, oh no, 1 more. Delete, and I'm going to ask my second question. What country do you work in? And instead of letting the user choose their country, I'm going to make sure that I'm prepared if I expand my ambassador or my champion program to other countries. And I'm going to use the country entity that is built into Power Virtual Agents, also to make sure that I'm always getting the same country. So I know which countries this will give back. If I type in the Netherlands or NL, this entity will always resolve that to the same value that I can then use as input for my flow. And then the next step is to call an action again. I'm going to create a new flow. And then I'm going to rename this as well. Find my champion. Just going to add CD at the end, so I make sure that I choose the right one in the next step. And I'm going to have 2 input variables again, the department and the country, of course. And then I'm adding my action, which is going to be a get items action from SharePoint, because here I can add a filter query to filter the list based on my 2 properties that I have here. So the site address is Teams Training. The list name is going to be the champions list. I only want to get back the first one because I know that I have only one champion for each country department combination. And then I'm going to input my filter query. I've renamed my title country to my title column to country. So my title is actually containing my country. And I'm going to say that the title should equal the country that I get as input. And my department should equal my department as input. And then here, I'm going to make sure that that's the entire, yes. Because Power Virtual Agent, when you add text after a dynamic content, or Power Automate actually, it sometimes removes that last quote. So I just wanted to make sure that it stays there now. So with this query, I am getting back my champion for that country and that department. And then I want to check that there actually is a champion for that country. And to do that, I need to add my country into a variable. If I initialize a variable, it's going to be my champion, of course. Champion string. And then after, even though I have specified that I only want to get one item back, the result of this action is going to be an array of items. So I need to make sure that I extract my value from that array. And for that, I'm going to use an append to string variable, where I'm going to append the champion, that's the name, into that string, and then automatically, because it's an array, this is going to be added into an apply to each, but I know I'm only getting one back, so this will be executed only one time, and now my champion variable contains my champion name. And to make sure that I have a value in there, I'm going to add a condition. So a condition, which is going to be an expression. There we go. Length of my variable champion. Yes. There we go. So I'm calculating the length of my variable champion is equal to 0. If this is the case, I know that actually no champion was found. So I got back an empty array because no champion was found. And in that case, I am going to set my champion variable to not found, so that I can use that as output for the flow again. And I can make sure that my Power Virtual Agent doesn't just give back an empty response saying this is your champion and then nothing. I'm actually going to say that no champion was found. And then for the output, this is champion, going to return one output value. If I save this flow, text is required. So where did I forgot to? Oh yeah, of course, enter a value to respond. My champion variable, save. When my flow is saved, I am closing my my tab, and then I'm adding that action into my Power Virtual Agent conversation. Find my champion for collab days. I'm going to input my department and my country, and I'm getting my champion back. Similarly to what we did before, I am going to add a condition here based on my champion output variable. When it is equal to not found, I'm going to show a message. Sorry, I couldn't find a champion for department in country. Here you can find the full list. And then on the here, I'm going to provide a link to my full list anyway, just so that the user still gets an answer. And I'm going to end my conversation with a survey. Going back to the top. There we go, end of conversation. In any other case, so when my champion is not equal to not found, that means that I got a name back. I'm going to show a message. I found your champion. It's, and then I am adding the name. And also here, I'm going to go to end the conversation with a survey. And that's this topic completed. So in any case, any result that we get from the user or from the flow, we will have a fitting answer for the user. If I then save the conversation and the test bot refreshes, I can test this topic as well. So find my champion. And then I get the options that I specified, of course. Find them for me. I work in marketing and I work in Belgium. Now again, in the background, the flow is, that's not what I needed. So in the flow, I made a mistake. I took the entire champion item as a response, not just the display name. So I'm going to change that from the Power Virtual Agent. That's why you always test your topics before you publish them, of course. If I edit the flow, it's in my apply to each, in my append to string variable. I don't have to choose, of course, the entire champion, but I need the display name. Champion display name is what I needed. If I save this and I try the, this did not answer my question. And then I want to rephrase, find my champion. Try this again, find them for me. I don't remember what I chose. Sales in Belgium. See, yes. So now we do get the display name. My champion is Adele Vance. Yes, this did answer my question. It was a 4. And I'm going to see what happens when I don't find a result. So find my champion. Again, find them for me. And then I am looking for something I know will not be found is going to be engineering in the Netherlands. And he couldn't find, or the bot couldn't find a champion for engineering in the Netherlands, and therefore the bot is giving me the full link to the champions list so that I can look if there really isn't a champion. Maybe I can become a champion, or I can turn to one of the other champions in the Netherlands or the Belgian champion for engineering. So in every case, I do get an answer to my question, trying to really answer the user's questions, of course. Now, if we publish this flow, we can also get it in Teams or use it in Teams. Now, this can take up to 15 minutes. So let's see if my new topics are available sooner. I would be surprised. Oh, there, it did find it. So also here we will get the same result. Find them for me. I am working in production in Belgium. It's going to execute the flow and find my Belgian champion. And just to check that it's actually giving me the correct answer. So production Belgium, what is that in my list? Belgium production, it's Deborah Berger, so it's also giving me the correct results. So that's the 3 demos that I wanted to give. Now, of course, once our Power Virtual Agents are built and it's published and it's starting to be used, it's not finished. you're not just ready. You actually have to fine-tune your agent to make sure that you can add additional topics, for example, change trigger phrases or add additional trigger phrases when the way that people search for things doesn't match what the trigger phrase that you have defined, or the topics that you have defined in your conversations, the conversations that you have defined or the topics that you have defined in your bot aren't a complete match for the user's questions. Then you would have to add existing topics or new topics. For example, let's say that you have a topic like I had in the bot, how to organize a Teams meeting. It might be that a user is asking, how can I join a Teams meeting, or how can I participate in a Teams meeting? If you don't have that topic, they will be sent probably to the create a Teams meeting or organize a Teams meeting topic, which is not what they're looking for. From the analytics, you can find that information. You can review individual conversations with users and fine-tune your topics, your trigger phrases, and your conversation flow based on the feedback that you get from the users, and add new topics when necessary. So that's really important, is that when you do something like this, when you build a virtual agent to get started to help your users, is that you don't just build it once, but continue to improve it, of course. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. So you can find me on Twitter. I also have a blog where I occasionally blog around topics on the Power Platform, Microsoft Teams, and sometimes I add in something personal there too. So check that out as well if you're interested. And if there are any questions, now would be the time to address them. Let me check.
Yes, Carmen.
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for a definitely demo-heavy session. And a lot of thumbs up were happening in the background in the channel. So let me quickly see, and if people have questions, of course, please do answer them. And let me see what's in the channel. Maybe you can have a similar look as well. There were a couple of notes early in the session, but I didn't point them out to you so far. But not a lot of questions, just a lot of compliments.
That's nice, of course. Is the AI smart enough to interpret the questions if they don't match exactly? I have found that with the most cases where I'm rephrasing a question a bit differently, when the keywords are in there, that it is interpreting them the right way. So usually I would say yes. So they don't have to use the exact phrasing as the trigger phrases. For example, if I were to, let me try this, I had the, which trigger phrases were, for example, in my create team, collaborate with colleagues, new team, create a team. Let's say that I combine two of them. Of course, this could go terribly wrong as well. Create a new team. It is still extracting that I want to get to that topic. So it is smart enough to interpret small changes to the exact topics that you defined, yes. And I think that was the only question.
Yeah.
So thank you for attending. Thank you for the feedback. And if there are any more questions, I will stay in the Discord a bit longer so that I can answer them as well.
And enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you once again. Thank you very much. And we'll be talking soon. And for everybody of you, we'll be continuing in 15 minutes. And we're going to do close up for today. And we're going to do the raffle. So enjoy. Hope you're going to join us a bit later. And see you soon. Hey,
one important thing. So we are doing the closing in 15 minutes. And there are still 3 spots left for people that want to join an open discussion to close this event. So if you are interested, feel free to tag me in Discord.
Okay. Thanks, Leo.
And hello, Carmen.
See you next time.
Hi. See you next time.
The Omita framework is an enterprise-ready software platform that makes it possible to set up an easy integration between your existing back-office applications and push all the relevant information into digital workplaces. Omita has developed various kinds of solutions which can be easily deployed and linked to your back-office applications. Omita has solutions for contract management, HR to speed up onboarding and offboarding processes, sales dashboards, shop floor portals, and many more. If you want more information, visit our website.